All right, thank you so much for staying with us. And we're still talking about this issue of domestic violence, especially as has to do with the death of late Osinachi. And Pastor Agbola is still with us. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, I was asking you before the break about the issue of submission and her wanting to protect her husband's integrity, of course, which we know may not even exist if you look at this scenario. But do you think she probably did the right thing, trying to submit to her husband, protect him, and not wanting her family to interfere? Because you know that families too sometimes can be extreme. when they begin to interfere in marriages.
Everyone wants the marriage to work. Nobody wants to be divorced, and we also know that people hear stories of marriages that had a difficult start, but staying there makes the thing got better. There's hope. Yeah, we cannot kill hope. And we cannot also falter for hoping that our home gets better, give them children, she has a career, and there's hope. So we cannot falter for hope. And like I said, if we run out for every challenge we have in marriage, there will be no marriage. And if you feel that a challenge in any marriage is a sign that you should pull out, you are also wrong. Sometimes you stay. Sometimes you stay. Just that, like I said, violence has taken a different dimension.
So does submission come into play in this situation?
Submission in what sense now?
Submission to her husband, the fact that he was protecting her from the family. Maybe he tells her, don't do this, don't talk to your family, don't invite your mother, don't tell them what's going on. And then she submits and says, yes, sir. And then there's also the case of her wanting to protect him. He's doing the wrong things, but it's my head. I have to protect him. I have to keep it away from my family.
I've still not gotten the question. What's the question?
The question is, does she do the right thing under the guise of submission? Is that still submission?
I think it is submission. The difference, I keep saying, is that the man became violent. Yeah, all these things are sometimes okay. Sometimes you need to keep things from the family.
So it's okay if my husband
for example,
says,
now you have lost your job.
I don't want you to contact your family. I don't want you having anything to do with your family. There's
always the extreme side. Yeah, always the extreme side. There are the extreme side of some family wants to get involved in every matter. Understand? Some even will encourage you. The guy is not working, has lost his job, leave him, or this and that. So of course there's the balance. Let me use the word balance. There's also some things you don't tell your family because they won't understand. They will just feel as if, I tell people have different home. Some men enter the kitchen and they are just glad to help their wife to wash the plates. Family members see and say, he has charmed you. He has charmed you. So some things we keep away from the family. And they don't get wrong ideas. So there's a balance about it. There's a balance about it. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you something. Is that submission? I'd like you to state it clearly. Is it submission to not want to maybe let the family know about the beating and all of the violence that was going on in the marriage?
Toxic traits.
We come out to the issue of violence take a different form. Yeah, violence take a different form.
Okay, so she should have spoken up.
To someone or a counselor, to somebody. Violence, I can't even process violence as somebody eats you and eats you and eats you. It takes a different form. It's enough that you are battered emotionally, but that you are physically beaten. Of course, with this recent thing, we are seeing a lot of videos coming out now of people showing when I saw a man was beating the wife with a cane or with a belt. And she was crying, begging like you do in secondary school. It's a different thing that's happening. Violence. I'm happy that there's a place in Lagos State where they have a domestic violence kind of court where they take it very seriously, and I think it should really be pushed very well. That you don't go and beat somebody's daughter or somebody's son and be beaten as if it's your slave, even if it's your slave.
Okay, let's bring this back to the issue of faith-based violence. Faith-based because again, certain denominations, it will seem that the pastors there insist that regardless of what happens in a marriage, divorce or separation is a no-no. Now you have the pastor of Dunamis International, which she was reportedly a lead singer there. Reportedly, Dr. Paul NHA said that divorce is a no-no under no condition whatsoever. In the first instance, that negates what Jesus himself said in the scriptures, that on the grounds of unfaithfulness, Matthew 19, down to verse from 1 to 12, basically. That negates what Jesus said. That's one. Then two, when it comes to violence, as we've stated over time, that there's a threat to life. If pastors are still insisting that at that instance, separation or divorce is a no-no, especially separation in that sense, don't you think that such faith-based assertions encourages the kind of unfortunate incidents we have? Because most pastors have that influence over their members.
Of course, this recent issue of Osinachi's death, it's really a big blow for the church. And I was a pastor in Abuja, forgotten her name, I was talking about it, that it brings a lot of questions. Yeah, a lot of questions, a lot of not wanting, of willing to throw away the baby with the bathwater, just say anything. Leave is the, and if you just say, at this season, don't leave, all eyes are on you. What do you mean? Everything, leave. And it takes courage at this time to say, look, it's not everything is leave. Yeah, that's some things we need to work it out. The guy has never been violent before. For 10 years of marriage, something happens and he gets fed up and he maybe slaps the wife and he's on the floor rolling and say, I don't know what came over me, and say, no, this is violence. Sorry, the marriage is over. I'm leaving. So it's violence in quotes, but like, what have I done? That if you're not careful, we'll give no room for any error.
But violence starts from somewhere, from a little tap to
smack,
to spank, till eventually leads to you getting maybe maimed or something.
Sadly,
so you can't tell where the line should be drawn. Because if you say, okay, he's rolling on the floor, he's begging me, I forgive him, and then the next time is a punch.
Never done it in 15 years in his life.
Okay, so you forgive him because it starts from somewhere, and then the next time is punching you in the face, you get a black eye.
Some don't ever grow beyond that. Understand? It's a thin line to stand on, but some will never grow beyond that. Understand? And what it says, one error is enough. Understand? Some will never grow beyond that. Understand? So but what has happened to Osinachi has brought a lot of backlash, and sadly it may lead to marriages that are trying to stand, not to stand again. To say, don't accept it. Is didn't pay school fees, don't accept it.
There were reports, again, we're basing all of this on reports, that Pastor Neche wasn't even privy to what was going on in the marriage. How possible is that? Shouldn't the pastor provide oversight?
That's another topic on its own. When the issue of pastor is a big issue now, because somebody is pastoring 100,000 people. Is he really their pastor? Is really their pastor? But
he would have relationship with some people.
Pastors, he would have relationship with some people.
Some have pastors under them that are up to 100. Maybe he's the pastor of the pastors, not the pastor of the people. Understand? It looks like success. It looks like success that
on large scale.
We have boomed. But some wonder, are people really being pastored? Yeah, she's lead singer, she's working, maybe even paid. It's a business. If she's getting paid, maybe singers get paid now. There will be no personal relationship between the pastor and the person. So the pastoring has stopped occurring. Sadly, the pastoring is still going on in the Orthodox churches. The Anglican Methodists, see somebody is ill, every members are there to visit. The pastors know them, goes to their houses and pops in. My mother Anglican church, sometimes you see the reverend come and say, I came to see you. Those things don't occur again in the Pentecostal church. So are they really being pastored? It's a center. People even use the word, it's a center. People come, get charged, go back, personal matters. It's not being discussed. So are people really being pastored? We grew up under pastors.
That's a big question.
People really being pastored. People are just attending big churches. Understand? People really pastored. We have personal talk, one-on-one. People see these people's face. Your face looks a bit dull today. Are you okay? Have you eaten? Do you have money? Those things are fading away. People just come to church, perform. Yeah, they perform well, and they go back home. They have their alt, they have their pay. Nobody is seeing them. So we are no longer pastoring. Yeah, we are having big centers, big churches, but no longer pastoring. So she can be in a big church like Dunamis, and it's possible that the pastor does not know about her. He's traveling, he's doing his work, and things are going on. To even seems a difficulty. So we need to also deal with the issue of pastoring, the issue of availability, the issue of success in church growth. Where is the success? You know, there's a couple that has a lot of issues that have been going. Sometimes it was a Sunday morning. I went to their house at 8 a.m. and I was there till 6 p.m.
Wow.
I was not there because to sort out a matter. I didn't even attend church that day. Somebody asked me. He said, "But who is their pastor?" I was not their pastor. But the pastor pastored about 3,000 people. I don't even know them. I was one that was doing the pastoring. Stay in the house. Okay, you sit down. Okay, you were wrong. You are wrong. You know, I was one that was doing the pastoring.
So it's not just in the name, it's
yes,
in the role.
it's in the role, yeah. So people are not, sorry, we have gone into
No,
serious.
it's fine because all of these things are interwoven.
Yeah, it's serious. People are not being pastored.
Yes. Still talking about the issue of pastoring and all that. Pastors who will tell you when violence is involved, especially to the point of probably broken arm and all that, exceeds the just tame slap or what have you, that there should be separation for a while, especially if they've tried to wade in by speaking to both parties, especially the aggressor, and it seems not to have changed over time. As a cleric, will you subscribe to that as well, that when violence occurs, there should probably be a separation till the aggressor is able to work on his temperament or issues and becomes, in quote, normal?
I don't know, because it's a new development. Yeah, it's,
and as you said earlier, separation and divorce are the same.
It's a new development that we didn't have to confront before, but it's now confronting us. And we have to start sitting down and say, okay, what should we do? And that's where I am now. That it's a new development. We didn't have this issue some years ago. It's just coming up. Violence. So what should we do? What should we discuss?
So
you, Pastor B, Pastor C, Pastor C, let's sit down. What should we do when the man is aggressive? Should she leave immediately? Emotionally, it's like, oh yeah, leave. That's an answer I can give you off the call. Yeah, but it's like, okay, this is getting more. What should we do? Should we get them to sign as they are getting married to a fill form that says we'll report to your place of work? It's part of our agreement. Sign it in our marriage registry that once any act of violence is reported to the domestic violence committee in the state and also to your place of work. Should we start grafting out new things when we are signing marriage documents? And when I start thinking, it really help. So, like if I slap this girl, this my shell job or my oil company job is on the line. I know those guys. But
that would even mean that the workplaces have the policy against violence.
I think it's. I don't even think they need policies. Those workplaces are very, very serious.
All right, sorry to cut you, Pastor. We have to take a break now. When we come back, the conversation continues. Please stay with us. All right, Pastor Agboala is still with us, and we're still talking about this issue of domestic violence in marriages and taking the case of Osinachi as a case study. Let's wrap this up by talking about the step-by-step process. You've talked about the church coming together to discuss this, which of course is not something that has a precedence. So let's talk about the step-by-step process of the church elders coming together to discuss how to tackle this issue.
And the legal parts, I just can't find a name. I think the domestic violence, something that they have in Lagos State, the legal parts of reporting things officially.
There's Office of the Public Defender as well.
And then there's a Violence Against Persons Act.
Need to report it officially, I think so that it will be a deterrent. And also, I also think that we may get to a point whereby in the forms we fill, that is there, that we have the right to report your place of work. Yeah. I know some organizations frown seriously at it. Yeah.
But that's still in the realm of some. It's not all organizations.
It affects your maybe appraisal, your going for promotion, and it also goes into people's record. The way a pedophile may never find a job in America, once it's in your file as a sex offender, you are done for.
So perhaps there should be a constitution that states that every workplace should have that.
That place you feel. Does it have a report of violence at home? such things will be a deterrent that, look, this thing I'm doing at home goes all the way to affect my whole life. I feel it will help us. These are new discussion we need to start having to say, how do we guide against
Yeah,
such
but I'm more
recurrence?
interested in the church.
In the
How
church's
would they
role.
come together? Because you just thought this majorly has, Osinachi's case majorly has to do with the church.
Yeah.
And you
But
just talked
the
about the
church
fact that
has PFN and CAN. So there's really, we have umbrellas where we come together, and we need to just have strong discussion about it.
But not all denominations are under these bodies.
Exactly.
I think to a great extent, almost all, to a great extent, maybe like 90%
Okay.
are involved in these two bodies, almost like 90%. So we can start having such discussion and say, look, I know we have different doctrine. I know we have people that say divorce. No, even you're married to the devil. This cannot happen. We need to also have to look, what do we do? Our girls are dying. Yeah, our girls are
and we
dying.
also have to discuss how it will become binding to every denomination.
denomination.
Because
It's
that's
not-
another...
binding is a challenge. You understand? But let it be out there.
At least
Yeah.
denominations
Yes.
under these
Yes.
bodies.
Alright.
Out there. That's when communicate. That's when violence is involved. We advise that this be done, that the church elder report officially. Let's make it very official to the authorities that were handling violence. Let's start having some discussion that we need deterrence. Why do we have law against so things? If there's no law against stealing, everybody will go and steal. But you know, if you steal, I may be killed. It's when you feel the pressure, you are careful. You know that. So such things, I think, we also help the mind as, look, you don't beat your wife. It has.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much,
much,
Pastor
sir.
Thank
Olufemi
you.
It's
Agbola,
been
for
an
this amazing
exhaustive
discussion.
discussion.
hot seat indeed, but really it is a very sensitive
Yes.
issue that has to be tackled with every form of sensibility. We would be taking a break now, but when we come back, it will be time to talk money. Please stay with us.